Mindful Design course pre-orders are live, which is nice. And I've had a few questions from folks who are still on the fence or just want to know a bit more about the course. And everyone knows when you've got a product to shill and someone asks a question about it, the best approach you can take is to turn it into a transparent marketing video that you can then use to try and convince as many people as possible to buy that product. You're not stupid. I'm not going to pretend you're stupid. You know how this goes. There's a bunch of questions with answers that make the course sound good. Let's go. So the first one is, I'm brand new to design. Will this course be good for me? Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes, mate. Really though, this course will be a good primer for anyone new to design. If you're coming at it from a related field and you've got some experience managing or delivering projects, whether that's as a developer, a researcher, a product person, then even better. But regardless, you should get a good introduction to design from this course. Then we've got what's the balance between design stuff and brain stuff. So the way the course is coming together, it's quite hard to separate the two. But if I had to, I'd say 70% is design stuff and 30% is brain stuff. And in case you didn't know, the course is split into two parts, with the first part being focused around cognitive science and understanding what makes us human and how our brains work. There's a lot to take in that unit, but we'll always relate it back to design with real world examples and exercises. So yeah, the goal isn't to just teach you some cognitive science bits and leave you with some pretentious theoretical shite that you'll never use. The goal is to make you a better designer. So we relate everything back to building nice things for nice people. Then there's that second part, which is literally an end-to-end primer for how to design things. Everything from the most important diagrams, research methodologies, journey maps, wireframes, all the way through to finished prototypes and final interaction design. What tools do I need to use for this course? Now, the markety answer to this is use whatever you already use and love. Because we're trying to be tool agnostic wherever we can with this, you can use whatever you're comfortable with, whether that's PenPart, Sketch, HTML and CSS, or even, whisper it quietly, Figma. If you want the most seamless experience though, you'll use the same tools as me. So we'll be using Notion for writing words, TL Drawer for our diagrams, and PenPart for UI design. In terms of hardware, pretty much any computer with a web browser, some paper and a few pens, and you're golden. And a follow-on to that, are you really not using Figma? And yep, really, there's already 1,000 Figma specific courses out there. If you want a primer on what buttons to press to make Figma work, then this isn't the course for you. There's a few reasons we're not using Figma. The first is somewhat personal. I don't like what they stand for and I don't want to promote them. The next is that PenPart is free and open source. Not everyone is chilling on a company provided Figma subscription or making enough from freelancing to fund their own. And finally, PenPart is more aligned with web technologies, with things like grid and flex layout and a more analogous box model for margins and padding. And this kind of shared vocabulary makes the mental leap from front end to design a bit more seamless. How focused on product design is the course? Will it make me a better website designer? So first answer, very. Second answer, maybe, but it mightn't be as useful for you as a website specific course would be. A lot of what we cover will translate perfectly well to websites, especially when we get into things like typography, Gestalt, information architecture, OOUX, and so on. But we're looking at most things through the lens of digital products. Will this make me a better developer too? So I think so, but I would say that. I think this depends on how much you value human-centered stuff when you judge how good you are as a developer. For me, it's kind of non-negotiable that if you're building stuff for people, you should understand those people. Now, this course mightn't make you technically a better developer, but the course isn't called Mindful Next.js, is it, you sausage? I'm an experienced designer. Will I get much from this course? So one of the primary use cases we've been thinking of for this course is experienced UI designers who want to shift left a bit in their process and introduce more UX style work into it. If that's you, then 100% you'll get something from the course. It's literally in part designed for you. If you're an experienced UX designer, like you've led research rounds, done a bunch of early stage diagramming and wireframing, and are just super experienced in that regard, it's a little more difficult to say. I'm pretty confident in that case you'll pick up a few new tricks and learn some new concepts, but if you're a UXer looking to get better at UI and interaction design, yes, you'll learn the basics, but there's probably better courses out there for you, even if they do cost $1,000. Why should I focus on mindful design practices? Because you're not a dickhead and you want to make nice stuff for nice people. Because the state of web and product design right now revolves around coercion and compulsion and nudging and habit forming products, and it's all a load of self-perpetuating bullshit. This approach to design isn't some fad or some brand new framework that'll be outdated in a few months. It's all the stuff that millions of designers already do, just with some tweaks and looking at our work through a slightly different lens. You can also treat mindful design as centering cognitive accessibility in our work. All accessibility is important, but cognitive accessibility is quite often overlooked and under-prioritized. If you care about accessibility and want to do better at the cognitive side of things, then I really think you'll enjoy this course. How did you decide on the price? We wanted to make it affordable, but also get proportional income out of the effort we put in and the value that we think we're bringing with this course. Now, I've taken a lot of courses and so many of them were clearly just phoned in money grabs, which is super disappointing when you consider how expensive some of them were. There are great courses out there, some amazing people with really great teaching styles, teaching some amazing stuff, but there's also a lot of slop, and it's sometimes very difficult to separate one from the other. And if there's one thing that the Piccalilli team and I 100% have in common, it's that we cannot stand grifters. And if we price this at 600, 700, 800 or into the thousands to match some of the other courses out there, I think we would feel like grifters. With courses like this, we're in a market where we're pretty much just pinning a figure on our own perception of the value we are bringing to the table. If other people are genuinely putting that figure well into the thousands of pounds, fair play, we're not. For us, we've come up with £249, knowing that we're happy to knock £100 off that for this pre-order, because it's something that's going to be somewhat affordable in most situations and should be a bit more palatable to people's education budgets, but doesn't leave us feeling like we've ripped ourselves off. Charging pennies for something that's taken hundreds of hours of work to get right is just as unfair as charging thousands. Will you approach designing with or for AI? Designing with AI? No, you're learning things. You don't outsource learning to a bullshit machine. I'm not going to stop you from using AI stuff if you think it helps, but we won't be touching it in the course. If you're taking this course, it's because you're new or still learning the stuff in it. You're supposed to be a little bit shit at this right now. It's why you're learning. There's no shortcuts in that regard. Designing for AI, a little bit. A lot of the stuff we explore will translate just fine to AI products and features, and AI doesn't magically remove the need to do the basics well. You don't get a pass on good information architecture, well thought out domain models, snappy interaction design, and accessibility just because your product has a bullshit machine baked into it. The reality is a lot of folks are designing around AI right now. Every product is getting some kind of LLM or Gen AI stuff thrown into it, and you should have the tools you need to navigate those conversations. We'll explore AI interfaces for sure. It's not a theme or a goal of the course to promote it. I still think that 99% of products are being made worse by AI, but it would be silly to just ignore the reality of the current big push towards AI. So yeah, we'll have grown-up talks about AI. We'll look at some of the patterns and problems. We'll dissect good AI and bad AI experiences, but in the context of the current digital product landscape as a whole. If you want a Mindful AI course, that's easy though. Let's do it now. Welcome to Mindful AI. there's no such thing. Thanks for tuning in. Are you really not my real dad? It's statistically unlikely and almost completely impossible. I hope he shows up for you one day though. Thanks so much for checking this video out, and thank you so much to everyone who has already pre-ordered the course. It means the world to us. It's been an amazing turnout already so far, and it's just given us that last little boost that we need to hunker down, finish all the grueling edits and the checks and the resources and the final last little bits to make this as good as we possibly can. Still time to pre-order it. You got a few days. Jump on it. Save yourself 100 quid. See you there.